But what interests you trade wise, besides the fact that when this podcast becomes more dominant than when we surpass America Magazine and become the arm of the Vatican, of course that'll be our ticket.
Yeah, if we live long enough and transhumanism is a thing
Oh my
and
gosh.
we're like robots,
Yeah.
and by then we'll have a good pope.
Mhm. God willing.
Then we'll be part of the arm of the Vatican making media for
Right.
them.
That's right.
um, Honestly, I've thought about it for a very long time, and I can't really seem to get a firm answer as to what the trade is going to be.
Hmm.
I have sort of gotten to the point where I'm thinking it could be anything, and it's probably going to be one of those things where I'm going to have to do it, and it's just I'm going to have to try and not care about it too much.
Yeah.
You know, as long as it makes things work. But that's kind of dangerous. I think it's a little dangerous because you might burn out, or you know,
This
something
is
will happen. But
this is the
yeah,
great dilemma, I think, also for like the trad man, because our orientation is to family and fatherhood in a very righted
of
way.
course, yeah.
But on
And
this,
doing doing matrimony in the traditional church is completely different. You
yeah.
know,
Oh yeah.
it's definitely ordered to the way that you explained it just now, which is family life, provider. You're doing everything you can for your wife to live out her vocation,
Hmm.
and you living out your vocation as a man to provide.
Yeah.
So it is, it's pretty big deal.
Yeah. And the fact of the matter is, the world is, or at least where we occupy, it's hostile to family. Like,
Yes.
it's, again, Los Angeles is a place, I think, that you look at the fact that no housing gets built, the zoning laws, everything is oriented towards, it costs you $1,800 for a 400 square foot studio in North Hollywood. Kind of hard to bring in two, three, four, five, six kids into the world, right? And then what I think is this catch-22 is that it's one criticism of many criticisms that I do have of the church at large, because I don't think the church makes it very easy for people who are trying to live out their marital vocation as father and mother sometimes. By that I mean, by that I just mean to say,
How
like,
so?
well, I just mean like this: like, Catholic school is expensive as sin,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's just like in the secular world, how it's beaten into your face, like you have to send your kid to a 4-year school no matter what. The Catholic Church says you have to send your kid you have to get your kid the proper Catholic education. Now,
Right.
there's been a forgetting on the church at large that there is the domestic church first and foremost.
Mhm.
But for a lot of us, yeah, it's like, you know, it's depending where you're at, like it's hard to pay private school tuition fees, to send your kid to Catholic school, and then you find out later, right, that it's not even a good Catholic school. So your kids got the grades, and then they completely lost the faith, which is what's happening right now.
True. Yeah, they get
Um,
scandalized, or they're around a lot of people who a lot of kids who maybe don't have a stable family life,
yeah,
and
or no faith life. I mean, there are plenty of how many teachers, how many students in Catholic schools can do the whole routine and not have to hear a drop or even consider the faith whatsoever. I think it's a consequence of the nuns disappearing, right? Because a lot of orders were really oriented towards teaching. And I'm not saying like that's just like the failsafe for the financial burden of Catholic education, but for the most of Catholic history, your kids are kind of taught by the nuns or by the friars down the road or something like that. And then now it seems like Catholic education in some parts of the world, I should say, because there is traditional and classical education rising, but the costs still have to, kind of come down a little bit,
right.
a lot. But it seems like now they're competing against the public school system or the other private school system, the secular private schools, and it's just like a mess. And so you get a teacher in there at a Jesuit high school who's not living to the Catholic faith, and the church goes, okay, well, that's a problem. And people go, well, how dare you? Like, I made it through 12 years of Catholic school, never once had to open up eschatology or open up Thomas Aquinas or anything. So who are you to judge and all that kind of crap?
It's it's um it's a multifaceted battle too, because the other thing is the culture. So on one hand, you have maybe a poor example of a Catholic school, and it's expensive.
Mm-hmm.
But also in the culture, there isn't a lot being done to cultivate family life, as we have already discussed, like in the film world. For instance, for you realized that it was going to be very hard for you to be a family man and also do film to the sort of degree where you would be successful,
Yeah.
with all the traveling and that sort of thing. I think in the culture today, there isn't a lot of emphasis on family life, or even really a a structured family dynamic to the point where, like Black Lives Matter is against the
That
nuclear
nuclear
family,
family, right?
that sort of
The thing
thing.
that would actually save Black culture.
Yes, exactly. So there's a degeneration in the way that the culture thinks about family. And there's a disconnect there. And so that's why you have careers now that really don't provide a person with enough to actually, make it so that they could feed their family and be successful.